Hey, Shalom, Makim Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I would like to give all praise, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakwadash. I would like to give double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth, and that's for teaching this truth, and much peace, love, and salutation to the elect, beginning with the 144,000, all the way down to the large multitude that believes, and who the Lord will deliver in these last days. To you all I say Shalom. I'm the brother Tazamah from the Great Millstone Dallas camp, coming back today with another lesson. And I pray this lesson will be edifying to the elect. All right, and Shalom to you, Akwath, are you sisters that believe as well. I want to do a quick video on this article that you see here from the peoplesvoice.tv. The title of the article reads, it says, Billie Eilish admits she joined Hollywood BLOOD ritual club. I love babies plus taste of blood. All right, and all these actors, entertainers, high level sports figures, producers, directors, congressmen and women that are in high places, governors, mayors, all right, everybody that you see in high level positions here in Hollywood today, or just in general, I'd rather say, all partake in these ritualistic rituals. That's the only way I can really put it. I don't want to say too much, but this is why the scripture says in Psalm 144, it says, rid me out of the hand of strange children, whose right hand is a right hand of falsehood, man. And these people are wicked, man. You have 2/3 of our people that are caught up in this madness. And the thing that Esau does is that he gets this from ancient Sumerian, Mesopotamian, Sumerian, Egyptian, Canaanitish customs. Okay, when you read, for example, all right, when you read, let's actually do this. Let's get Wisdom of Solomon 12, but I want to get it in the GNT. All right, this is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 12, because these people are sick, man. All this stuff coming out about the e-files, I put it like that. All right, the whole thing about the e-files coming out, which is all, it's all true, you know what I'm saying? But they're really just using this whole thing as a ploy to, bring forth distractions. But it's all true, because all these high level people, these high level politicians and things of that nature, they all are involved in these matters, man. Okay, they're all involved in this shit. All right, and the whole world is an Eastine island. If you're catching our drift, the whole world is, man. There's many Eastine islands. There ain't just one. All right, you have hundreds of thousands of individuals with a lot of power and a lot of money. All right, that are doing this, okay, on a day-to-day basis. Why is it that you got 300 to 400,000 children that come up missing a year? Why is that? Okay. This is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 12. All right, verse 3 and verse 4, and this is in the GNT. It says, you hated the people who lived in your holy land long ago because they did horrible things. It says they practiced magic and conducted unholy worship. And this is what you see here in America. All right, that's why America is known, all right, as the mother of all harlots and the mistress of witchcrafts. Okay, when you read in the book of Nahum, the 3rd chapter. All right, the scripture says, stand now with thine enchantments. Okay, because all that you see on the news and all the stuff, that the particular psyops that you see, all this is really just witchcraft, man. Okay, they deal with the magic, all right, on the left hand side, and that stuff is real. Okay, you have a lot of people that say that it's a sea theory. They'll call you a conspiracist if you bring out this information, but this is the stuff that was going on, in Egypt, even further than that. But when you read, for example, whenever Moses came before Pharaoh, what did Janus and Jambres do? What did Pharaoh's magicians and sorcerers do in his time? And they threw their rods down, they staffs down, and they turned into snakes as well too. They was able to turn water into blood. You know, that was able to bring forth, you know, frogs. You know, they was able to tap in on that left-hand side. That's why the scripture says this. Let me get it real quick. I know it's in Psalms. Set thou a wicked man over him, which, let me just get that real quick. Yep, Psalm 109 verse 6, it says, set thou a wicked man over him, and let Satan stand at his right hand. You see, because Satan ultimately is at the right hand of these devils, man. Okay, everything is there. Everything is done in two. You have the right hand side of things, and you have the left hand side of things. All right, now ultimately, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai controls both sides, as the scripture says. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and I create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. So you have the right hand side of things. All right, and you have the left-hand side of things, and the Lord controls both of that, which goes to show you the you know, the duality of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, which also shows why he's greatly to be feared, man. Because you see these things that are going on the left-hand side, and it's crazy, man. You see, it's insane, but that's why, you know, that's why we don't understand the mind of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Like the mind of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai is deep. Okay, but Satan is ultimately at the right hand of these devils. Okay, and that's how the Lord set it up. Hey, you do have a spiritual demon, Satan, and Satan, you know, his physical counterpart on the planet Earth are these devils, man, these Edomites, and this is why you see, all right, them engaging, or rather say, in these particular acts. So once again, it says you hated the people who lived in your holy land long ago. Going to show you that the Lord hates, right? Because they did horrible things. They practiced magic and conducted unholy worship. And this is going into the Canaanites. Whenever we crossed the River Jordan, all right, with Joshua, we were supposed to go into the land of Canaan and completely, man, we were supposed to murk everybody. We were supposed to destroy the Canaanites, destroy the old, the young, the little children, the animals, the cattle, their idols. You're supposed to destroy everything. Okay? Deuteronomy the 7th chapter goes into that. They killed children without mercy and ate the flesh and blood of human beings. So this goes to show you the same spirit, all right, that Esau is in. He's just taking, all right, ancient, you know, Hamitic customs and applying it today. Remember, the scripture says that that which hath been is that which shall be. Okay, there's no new thing under the sun. So these things that we see going on is the same. It's the same things that was going on back then. You know, the sacrifice unto Molech. That's all that these things. That's all that this stuff is, man. When they gather these children and they do these things to them, you know, that's all done in the name of other gods, man. Now the scripture says that the gods of the heathen are idols, but that's what they, you know, these sacrifices, that's what they do. Okay, that's why do you have a big owl? You know, when you fly, you know, there's pictures of them flying over Eastine Island, and there's a bit that, you know, they got a pretty much like a temple in an owl. Why is that? The owl of Molech. You know, why is it that at the Bohemian Grove they got a big statue of an owl? Why is that? You got to ask yourself these questions. Why? See? It says they were initiated into secret rituals in which parents murdered their own defenseless children. And a lot of these children, all right, that I don't even want to say come up missing, you know, but a lot of these children that so-called are missing, you know, you do have parents of those children that are actually being paid off to deliver their children up to these elites, man. Okay? It says, it was your will for our ancestors to destroy these people, so that the land which you consider the most precious of all lands would be a suitable home for your people. All right. And that's mainly it on this precept I wanted to grab. But let's go here. Let's go back to this. All right. It says Billie Eilish has joined the ranks of self-confessed Hollywood bee suckers, declaring, I love you see the word there, and I love the taste of Dahmer. I'm speaking in code, right? During a disturbing video interview, all right, that has resurfaced. All right, I'll just say Dom. I'll say that, not Dom, or I'll just say Dom, right? During a disturbing video interview that has resurfaced online in the wake of the Epstein files cannibalism scandal, right? It says Elish, one of pop culture's loudest virtue signalers, is now facing fierce backlash over the clip. Supporters say the remarks were dark humor taken out of context, and that's what they'll say. Like the whole thing when Mr. Beast supposedly ate a was it like a $70,000 steak or $70,000 pizza? It was one of those two. And then he said, you know, in the video, he was like, yeah, man, you know, cutting into this. He was like cutting into. Matter of fact, hold on one second. All right, now check this out. Now Mr. Beast is, you know, a YouTube, you know, social media. He's like the largest social media, you know, influencer on the platforms. You know, he's a multi-millionaire, which this guy right here is completely juiced in. All right. And, you know, he pretty much grooms a lot of the other influencers like the Kai Cenats and iShowSpeed and Drewskis and all these, and they call them influencers now. That's the new wave of being an influencer, is pretty much going on YouTube, TikTok, you know, Instagram lives and Twitch and all these particular platforms, is acting a goddamn fool. But a lot of that stuff is rituals, you know, for them, you know, and these influencers are millionaires, man. But this guy, he's like the top of the top. All right, but listen to this. Fair use. All right, listen to this.
It's a little weird because I know we're going to eat a $70,000 pizza later, so it's kind of hard to get hyped for like a $2,000 steak.
Oh my God.
Whoa, it's like slicing into a baby. Whoa,
You heard that?
It's like slicing into a baby. It's like slicing into a baby. Poor choice of words.
A $70,000 pizza. Now, if you guys have been reading the Epstein files, you know how many times they mention pizza and pizza parties, and that it's a code word for something else. And then when he talks about slicing into a baby, has any of you guys at all in your whole entire life compared slicing into a steak as slicing into a baby?
It's a little weird because I know we're going to eat a 70.
That's pretty much it. All right, so he said this man was eating a $70,000 steak, right? And as he was eating the steak, I guess it was either him or it was one of his friends that was with him, but I believe it was him that said it. He said that it was like cutting into a baby, man. That wasn't just said a dark humor coincidence, and they just using dark humor, man. That's not what happened. Okay, because at this time, the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai is exposing the wicked, man. Salaki, hold on one second. All right, Salaki for that. But Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai, man, he's exposing the wicked. Remember the scripture says that the wicked shall be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. You know, and sometimes, you know, it's easy to get irritated at the whole Epstein files, and all you keep hearing is the files being released in Epstein. It's like you just hear his last name and you just get immediately annoyed, and it's like a ritual, you know, and it's like it gets draining, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like the Lord is allowing, you know, these things to come out because this devil's getting exposed. He's getting ready to go down. This devil's being revealed on a very, very, very high level. And he's being revealed to be what? The wicked that the Bible speaks of, man. You see? It says, let's see. While critics argue, yeah, okay, I read that already. So here, listen to this. All right? All this is fair use, by the way.
Babies. Ooh, I love babies. Oh yeah, they love on these. It's crazy. I mean, I do too, though, because I have an iron deficiency, so shit tastes good. Like, do you guys like the taste of blood? Do you? Does anyone here like the taste of blood? Because I like it. I like the taste of blood.
Wasn't you supposed to be the world's #1 virtue signaler at an award show just a couple weeks ago? And you're telling everyone you like the taste of what? I think you need to be careful with statements like that, considering everything that's coming out now. Even the NPCs and the people who weren't switched on are starting to rub a bit of that sleep out of their eyes. Yeah. You want to maraud on stage, you're some hero. when you have no idea what it is to live amongst real people, real working class people. But you like the taste of what? Make it make sense. And these are supposed to be...
You know, you get the point. Because when you go to the law, all right, the law states how we're not to eat anything with blood in it. All right, let's get Leviticus, the 17th chapter. I believe it's 17 and 11. Let me see. We're supposed to drain, we're supposed to drain the blood out the food, but this isn't just talking about, the scriptures here is talking about blood, the sacrifice of the blood is you're supposed to drain it out. When you see, these particular people eat steaks, for lack of better words, you know what I'm saying? And they're like, oh, I like my steak rare. You know what I mean? The inside of the steak still goddamn still be beating, the heart be beating in the steak. You know what I'm saying? That's how these devils like their steaks, man. And you ain't supposed to do that. All right, this is Leviticus 17. Let's read verse 10. It says, any man from the house of Israel, which once again, these jakes have that's rubbed shoulders with these high level executives and these high level, people in positions of power, whether they're singers, whether they're rappers, whether they're Hollywood stars, whether they are high level sports figures, high level producers, they all have engaged, every single last one of them. All right, all of them have engaged in this. Don't allow that whole fake, like for example, Denzel Washington. Oh yeah, when the parties happen, I will leave. Oh yeah, but Denzel gets baptized, man. Will Smith gets baptized. Like, man, look, all these niggas is nasty. Every single last one of them, and all of them partake in this action. Because in order for you to gain in this world, you gotta. What did Yahweh Shai say? He said, "For what shall a man gain if he what shall a man gain if he loses his soul?" And that's exactly what you do. You literally sell out, man. People literally sell out, and they're engaged. They engage themselves in these ritualistic acts, and they'll put them in their music videos, or put it in the movies, and then they'll throw a joke out at it as if it's supposed to be funny. But they're openly telling you what they do. They speak in code, man. The scripture says that their own tongues will fall upon themselves. You see? This devil's skirt's been lifted, and he can no longer, the scripture says that he can no longer hide himself. Leviticus 17 and 10 in the AMP, it says, any man of the house of Israel, or any stranger living temporarily among you, who eats any blood, against that person I shall set my face. Against that person, I shall set my face, and I will cut him off from his people, excluding him from the atonement made for them. See, because this is going into, the sacrifice of an animal. But the reason as to why these laws were written, all right, is because these were things that the Canaanites were doing. I think it's in the next chapter. It might actually be in the same chapter. I think towards the end. Let me see. No, it might be the next chapter. Let me see. Yep. Exodus 18 and 3. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. See, after it says, and after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. So the law, all right, that we read, all right, gives us, all right, ordinances of things that we were not to do and things that we were to do, because you had those ancient Canaanites that were doing the exact opposite. Okay, they were doing the exact opposite. They were being moles. You know what I'm saying? They were sleeping. You had children, sleeping with their parents and their close relatives, and drinking the blood out of animals and sacrificing their children to Molech, and all manner of wickedness, man. Temple harlots and temple prostitutes, and then ultimately, Jake got up into that stuff too. Because we didn't fully push out those we didn't fully push out those Canaanites, man. We know the scripture said, and the Lord said, if we didn't do that, there'll be a snare and a trap unto us. The nations, if we didn't push them out, that there will be a snare unto us, man. So Jake got caught up in that kind of madness too. King Solomon got caught up into that madness. When you read 1 Kings, the 11th chapter, he said, you know, he married strange women, and then what happened? He began to follow after their gods. So this stuff, man, hey man, this stuff is deep, man. This ain't no just, you know, like Esau is really on some high level wickedness on the left hand side, man. But the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai, he's bringing it all out. All right, let's go here. It says, start with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the so-called family man, the guy they shove in every kid's movie. You know, this movie, the man in Jumanji, and you know, look, I'm talking about they put these people in front of your face and you see him, and I think he's like the highest paid actor, if I'm not mistaken. But let's listen to him. Let's hear what he got to say.
I eat children. How old are you? 12. Oh, okay. Only to 10.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Children and pineapples. Children and pineapples.
You see that? You see that? They're literally openly telling you what they do. You know? And once again, you know, Jake, you know, rubs shoulder to shoulder with these guys, man. That's why Yahweh Shah said, ye are of your father the devil. Of the lust of your father ye shall do. See? For the love of money is the root of all evil, man. When you up there and you up there in the millions and the multi-millions, hundreds of millions of dollars and all that madness, man, you gotta do some nasty shit, all right, for the success. I put it like that. You know? You gotta do some things for success. Okay? And all these elites, man, they got all these guys, you know, they got all these individuals, men, you know, men, women, you know, they got them all on camera doing all kinds of crazy shit. That's why Kanye West came out and was like, man, if they gotta pull out a video of me effing a goat. You think he just said that just to be funny? No. No. They openly letting you know what they do. You know, and they're openly letting you know who they worship. Listen to this one. This one is crazy.
But what I realized is we are the first species on the face of this earth to be aware of evolution, to be aware that we are affecting our own evolution by everything that we do. The babies we eat, the food we eat, the wars we fight that we do. The babies we eat, the food we eat, the babies we eat, the food we eat, the babies we eat, the food we eat, thing that we do. The babies we eat, the food we eat, the wars we fight.
See, you see that? So she slipped up. She slipped up. She literally said the babies we eat, the food we eat. That wasn't, you know, that they literally telling you. It's a shameful spewing on Esau's glory, man. You know, because let this information come out years and years and years ago, it would have been, oh man, you know, it's a conspiracy, you know. But now, no, the Lord got it to whereas these devils are being exposed on a very, very high level. As a matter of fact, let's get this. Let's get what's that, Jeremiah 49? Let me get that real quick. Bear with me. I think it's Jeremiah. I thought it was Jeremiah 49. Let's see. All right, this is Jeremiah 49 and 10. It says, but I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. You see that? So Esau's no longer able to hide himself of being the so-called beacon of morality. He's no longer able to hide himself for being the hunk of the earth, you know, the liberal man. The scripture says that the vile man will no more be called liberal. You know, he'll be looked at as a churl. And Esau knows that Esau knows that the whole world is narrowly looking upon him right now. The so-called white man is narrowly being looked upon right now. You see? But it's all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Shah that this is happening, right? His seed is spoiled in his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. See, because ultimately what's going to happen is that he's going to continue to get exposed to the point whereas he's going to have to pass more draconian laws and more draconian legislation so that he can try to hide himself. And it's ultimately going to, eventually it's going to accumulate into everybody being forced to take a microchip so that he can track, trace, and control everybody. He can control the microchip is the ultimate form of wanting to control the narrative. That's the key. Is the RFID microchip for them to so-called control the narrative at the highest level. You see? But as the scripture says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he's going to be in straits. All right? Because at the same time as Esau is being exposed, war is brewing up. And it's gonna accumulate into what? ICBM thermonuclear destruction. Okay? Let's look at this last interview. Or last little clip.
Just a few drops, but yes, we do consume each other's blood on occasion for ritual purposes only. It is used for a reason, and it is controlled where it's like, let's shed a few drops of blood and each drink it. He's much more haphazard and hectic and chaotic, where he's willing to just like cut his chest open with broken glass and be like, take my soul, let me bleed on you. It doesn't not happen, let me tell you. Maybe not exactly like that, but a version of that has happened many times.
See that? See, that's the type of shit that they own. Absolutely crazy. But we're crazy. We're crazy for calling these things out. We're crazy for bringing these things out. But the scriptures talk about how what's done in the dark will come to light. You see, but, while everybody's walking around just eating sandwiches and, worried about Valentine's Day and all this madness, Esau is doing the goddamn thing. He doing his thug dizzle across the four corners of the earth. So, hey, man, spiritual wickedness in high places. You see? Man. But, I pray this lesson was edifying to the elect. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders, a great millstone that taught us this truth and that's what teaching this truth. And much peace, love, and salutation to the elect. Until next time, Lord willing, I say shalom.